All right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Jaguar Sports Network. I am Tony Talamantez, and I'm joined here with
Nevenka Gomez.
And we have the honor and privilege of sitting down with the women's head basketball coach, Coach Minner. Coach, how are you doing today?
Good. How are you?
Good, good. Now, how's the off-season treating you?
Busy. Since I've been down this season, I've been recruiting, scheduling games, trying to figure out conference schedule, watching players, having players on campus, getting more players to come visit, figuring out who's coming back, all that kind of stuff. So it's not as busy as the season, but it's still really busy trying to get the new team.
So what would you say your day-to-day in the off-season would look like as Coach Minner?
If I'm here in the office, it's probably watching film, ordering equipment for next year, watching recruits, talking to people on the phone, a lot of meetings. I'm on a lot of committees with NEI, so usually have a lot of Zoom meetings about that. If a player's on campus for a visit, we got to walk around, take them to lunch, depending on how many days they're here. So right now it's really busy because you're still deciding who you're going to try to get to campus and who not. So you got to watch a lot of film or go see them in person. Plus, you're dealing with your returning students, making sure their grades are good, their schedules are done for next year, and who you're bringing back and who you're not.
Talking about looking at new people, rebounding is something your team struggled with this last season. Is that something that's in the back of your mind as you're looking for players for this upcoming season?
Yes, in fact, Friday night, the 6'4" girl from Montana gets here for a weekend visit. So hopefully she'll come here. Sounds like she will. We have a lot of 5'10", 5'11" players that play the 4-5 position that can rebound, and so that was a critical piece. Right now, as of today, it looks like we got pretty good players coming that can do that, but it changes, and I'll still find out more. Usually it takes till about the end of June to finalize your team.
That 6'4" girl, is she, what year is she?
She'll be a sophomore technically on the court, junior in academics, but she can play. And, we had an injury last year to our best rebounder, so hopefully she'll be back. She's been out of the boot and playing, and they'll get better at rebounding just by experience, but we definitely categorize that. And so I feel like we're close to fixing that.
Now, in your first interview with JSN way back in October, you were talking about how you wanted to compete for a championship.
Yes.
And you didn't bring the hardware home this year, but you did just that. You competed in the Red River Athletic Conference tournament, winning a postseason victory. So how satisfied are you with the inaugural season?
I'm okay with it. I know I'm different, though. I measure myself on championships and national tournament appearances. But for a first-year program, yeah, we did really well. But fourth place is not the standard, and it won't be the standard going forward. I think if we would have stayed healthy, not had some other issues health-wise, I think we would have came in the top two, and then that's a different situation. As it was, to be truthful, since I'm on the NAI selection committee, if we would have tied with Alexandria, we would have made it. So I think we only missed the national tournament by about 4 games. Some of those losses we had, but it's okay. We had to learn. We were still considered one of the top 80 teams in the country in RPI, but 64 make it. We were just on the outside of it, but we knew we could do it because we beat LSUA. If we would have came in third by ourselves, I think we would have got in. So we were close. We were real close. We just, to get to a national tournament, you got to do 2 things. You got to beat really good teams and not lose to any teams that are below average, and we had too many of those. But a lot of it was our youth. But yeah, no, I know people are excited about 4th place, and it's fine, but I came here to win championships, and that's what we will do.
Going back to what you were saying, we had put a lot of weight in past interviews with you. We talked about how the preseason polls ranked the Lady Jaguars at 10 out of the 13 teams. And now, with all the buzz from other coaches in the Red River Athletic Conference, did any of them admit to voting that low? Because I believe you mentioned back in the radio interview that it was a coach's vote that put on those polls.
Yeah, they just didn't know. It's funny, no one will admit they voted this time. But the coaches didn't know me. They weren't here when I was here. It's a first-year program. And then to put a first-year program above your own program, that's hard to do. But the people that knew me didn't do that, but no one admitted it. It's fine. They can go for us any way they want. I knew we were probably a top 4 team, probably a top 2 team if those things don't happen, but it's fine. They won't do that again. I guarantee you that.
And athletic director Darnell Smith talks about building championships on and off the court. You had multiple players receive accolades, particularly Victoria Adeniran, all-conference champion of character. How important is it for you, for future Jaguars, to see this?
Well, it is important because, yeah, we're going to win on the court, that's facts, but it's also how you win. I think we have a lot of fans, people want to come here and play because we're not dramatic. When you watch our girls play, you don't get the sensitive attitude. And they're not perfect, but I'm very careful who I recruit because I don't want people to go and say, I don't want to watch that team play. They got a bunch of attitudes. They talk back, or they don't play the right way, or they're complaining to the officials. We don't do that, which I think helps our recruiting because high character people don't act that way. So if you're high character, you're probably going to be a hard worker. So that's what we try to do.
How important is it having a player like Natalia Trevino on an inaugural squad like this, and what has she meant to you as a player?
Well, I'm glad I got to coach her because one of the toughest things I ever had to do in my entire career was when I left Our Lady of the Lake after we made the Final Four. And I had signed Natalia out of Laredo United that spring, and I knew I was leaving after I signed her, and I couldn't say anything. So I left, and she had a lot of chances to go somewhere else and play, but she chose Our Lady of the Lake, and then she stayed. But then last year when I was interviewing for the job, she came to our game and talked to me, and I knew that she wasn't going to go back to Olu. And to have someone like that as your leader, and there's more accolades for her coming too, by the way. It just won't be announced until next Monday. But to have her kind of set the tone because she was one of our best players, if not the best player. I mean, she was Player of the Year in the conference. Absolutely. And so now people understand what you can be, that kind of character person and be really good. And so it was nice to establish that. Plus, I feel like I owed her because we would have had this success and she would have had this success at Olu if some of those coaches had believed in her a little bit more. And I knew when I signed out of Laredo United, and I knew she was one of the best players in the country. So for her to come play for me, she definitely helped get this program off on the right foot, no question. But I also thought it was good that she ended her career, maybe. That ruling's coming out in 3 weeks. So she may not have ended her career. That's for real. Yes, it's 50-50 that she comes back depending on what the ruling is about 5th year. But if she doesn't, she's still going to coach with us and finish up her degree. But I felt good for her, and I was glad we ended on a high note because that way, she enjoyed her last year and helped us establish our culture. But there's not a lot of hers. And so to have that as an example right off the bat is going to help us in the future.
Now going back to what you just said, there's not a lot of hers. If this is her last hoorah with the team, is there somebody that's going to be stepping up to fill that leadership role for the ladies?
Yeah, I think Evelyn will do it. Her and Nat have similar personalities. Nat knew me, obviously, more than Evelyn did. But with Evelyn coming back, she'll be the focus. But I definitely think she could definitely step into that role, especially being the point guard. We'll get her some more help this year in terms of that. But I think that's probably my guess. Will step up. I don't really appoint captains. I think captains emerge, and that way I'm not accused of favoring anybody. I don't need to pick up somebody to go shake somebody's hand. It's captains, like I said, emerge every day. So we don't really put that label on somebody. But team leader, I think Evelyn would definitely be in the mix for that. Being a senior and being our point guard and first team all conference player returning, she has all the accolades to garner that if she chooses to do that.
Now you are a gentleman with great poise and strong aura. I think we've all seen it when we're on the games. We hear you on the court. We see you on the court. Or when we were watching the games, when you're over there in Louisiana, the stream seemed kind of quiet, but we could hear you definitely talking to whoever you're speaking to. We love to see it. But what's going on in your mind during games like that, or that level of postseason games like that?
There's a lot. Some of my assistants have to talk to the players when they come off the floor because during a game, I'm watching. We run so many plays. We have so many different presses. I'm strategizing X and O, and I'm trying to guess the next step, how they break our press or how they shut our defense down. And I'm also talking to the officials. I'm trying to figure out substitutions. So a lot of it is just the way we play and the way I coach. I'm always constantly looking at the game and making sure the score is right and all that. So it's just constant, I guess, in my mind, trying to figure out what's happening, how I can put us in the best position to win. And but I've been doing this so long, I kind of know how people are going to attack it. So I want to make sure that I counteract their attack the best way I can. Practices are pretty chill. Because if you're yelling at somebody they're intense every day, then you're intense and they're not. They need to match the intensity. And then practice at times I'm going to ask questions. The game is not. But I never want to put them in a position to lose because I wasn't prepared or didn't coach them hard enough. And then I never think we're going to win. So I know we're going to win, but in my mind I'm thinking, oh my God. So it's always constant movement during the game. But we do more than other teams do, so I have to constantly be thinking about that.
I can only imagine how hard it is to lose in the semifinals of the tournament for both coaches and players. What is something you told the ladies after your loss at LSU Shreveport?
It was tough because we didn't tip off till 10:15 that night, and had to play basically 2 games in the same day. And like I told the people before the game, they asked me after our first round win, what do you think? I said, I'm playing against graduate students from Division I schools against freshmen, basically. I mean, last year the post player at Shreveport played at Weber State. My post player was at Alamo Heights. Their 2-guard was at Hofstra. My 2-guard wasn't playing. She took the year off. So we weren't the favorite. But the good thing is they have established. I told the girls after the game, you've established what the expectation here is. You've shown you can win in the postseason. You know what it looks like. You know how to win in this arena where it's going to be next year. You know what it takes to win back-to-back games. You now know that getting the semifinals was great, but we're 1 game away from being in the championship game, which might have put us in the national tournament. So they know, but you have to establish it. When I was at Our Lady of the Lake, we didn't win a conference. We didn't get to the national tournament until the 3rd year. And then after that, after we saw it, we were there every year. I didn't take over till the 4th year. And we never not made the national tournament when I was there. Same thing at Midway. I got there, they never made a national tournament. The first year was COVID, we were close. And then the next 2 years I was there, we made it. But you have to show them first. They have to see it. So the fact that we saw how close we were to getting to a championship game will help us for next year. And again, a lot of freshmen, it's a long season. Conference tournament is pressure, and they did great. We didn't lose anybody there. We weren't supposed to. But now I think it's going to be easier next year to get to that championship game, which I think we will, because we did that this year. If we would have lost the first round, it wouldn't have helped us as much as next year. But I told them after the game that what they had done, you can't tell them during the season how great they are and how they're overachieving. Basically, they really overachieved with all the freshmen we played in first year together, injuries during games, other issues that came up with health. But you can't tell them that. And I know they heard it, but they did fantastic. I mean, I don't know very many first-year programs that did better than we did in the history of the NAIA. And so what they did was historical. What they did put our program ahead 2 or 3, 4 years. And so I told them that when it was finally over, because there was no need to hang their head. They had played tremendous the night before against a veteran team that was better than us last year. Maybe not next year. But they have to do it. You have to walk before you can run. That's what you have to do. And so they've set the precedent. They've set what the expectation is, and it was fantastic. I hate losing in the semifinals, but you also have to be realistic in what's going on. And so we weren't even that healthy. I mean, Nat and Evelyn were 100%, and we had 1 day to recover. I mean, Evelyn had just bounced off the floor the week before. And so to play back-to-back like that, we're fine. It makes them hungry for next year, but we'll be fine.
Definitely, Coach. And now with the Hungry Squad, how excited are you for the next season?
I am. I mean, there's going to be some changes, and this is part of college basketball. But recruiting's going a lot better than last year this time with transfers, because now we've had a team and we've had a gym. Last year, freshmen were fine, but when I showed them around, there was no team to meet. There was no gym to show them.
Right.
It was all faith and belief. And so you get the freshmen, you get people that knew me that were junior college transfers. The recruits we're getting are really good players, like higher quality and more experience we had last year, which is natural. And so iron's going to sharpen iron. But we're getting a lot more transfer requests because they've seen our facility, they've seen our fan base, they've seen the locker room, they've seen the gym, they see how we play, they see the 700, 800 people that come to our games. Because we had the most attendance in the conference. It was obvious. We have a home court advantage here. Jaguar Sports Network was, I'm going to be honest with you, was essential in a lot of our out-of-state recruiting, because I can tell you how we play, I can tell you how I coach, but unless you can see it, and we didn't charge for it, it was high quality experience for them. And I mean that's facts. When I was there at Lady Lake, we started doing that, and our recruiting took off. So all of that in the first year is going to help us going forward. And so the quality of recruits we're getting, the experience of the recruits we're getting is higher than it was at last year's time, because people say, hey, I've seen it now. They really do have a team. I've seen how they play. So this network has helped us get players. There's no doubt about that.
What was a key to making sure that every player kept up with the standards or the expectations of winning?
That's hard, because I had to keep it this year, most of it. I had to be the one to talk about it. I had to be the one that told them that, because they had never done it. So next year, people have done it. And so the leap you will see will be less of me showing them and them showing themselves, which will mean more. But you can't, that was the key for this first year. That's why everybody says it's going to take 2 or 3 years, because you got to build that. Now, we built it in 6 months. Because now I had to do more of it, but I'd seen it. I know what a first year program, good or bad, mistakes we made, things we did well at Our Lady Lake. As an assistant, I saw it. I've also seen what number 1 in the country looks like, and I've also seen what Final Fours look like, because I coached all those teams. So I kind of knew what you needed to do, and I knew what needed to be done the first year. And so next year, the reason why we're going to be so good is because they'll do it. But now they've been taught. I mean, freshmen don't have a shot clock. Freshmen don't play 40 minutes. Freshmen don't have a longer three-point line, longer season. They don't have that. So you can't expect freshmen to come in here in a first-year program and lay the culture down. None of the other players ever play for me or together as a group. I mean, some were teammates. So it comes to me. And so I have to make sure that I'm being consistent in what I'm doing, and I'm not being inconsistent, that I keep the standard high, and I don't waffle off of it, even though I knew they were doing fantastic. And I wrestled with that, and I'll be more intense next year because they'll be able to handle it. But that was my goal. My goal this year, and I kept talking to them about it, we have 2 goals this year. 1, to establish how we play on the court, but 2, establish our standards on and off the floor. And we've talked about it a lot. And we talked about it after games, before games, practices. And next year we'll probably talk about it less, because now we kind of know. And so now when new people come in, we have something established. That's why people have to understand how fantastic this season was. And the fact that we were winning games, not even 100% healthy, with 5 freshmen, and never having played together, and not really having drama, it will be duplicated. I mean, people can't do what we did this year. But you can't tell them that when they're going through the process, because then you lower the standard. They feel good about this season, as they should, but now they understand, hey, there's a lot more in us. But this university deserves a champion. This part of San Antonio deserves a champion. And so that's what I'm going to deliver. That's going to happen.
Now, were there any unforeseeable obstacles that affected the team or you personally this season, and how did you get past them?
You can't predict injuries. Injuries happen. You just can't, somebody coming down in the middle of a game. You got to adjust on the fly. If it happens to be, Texarkana, our best post player at the time, went down. You lose by 1. Can't predict that. Next person's got to be ready. We had some other health issues that are very specific to females. It happens. Can't predict that. Just have to adjust. Can't predict someone's going to be having a season-long injury. I was a veteran player. Can't predict that. So, but despite all that, a lot of teams would use that as an excuse. Just made us better. But I've been through that. I've had injuries to people. And so I do think that helped that I've had that experience. And I didn't worry about it. Our mentality was next person up. As far as obstacles go, no. I think for a first-year basketball program and a facility that's shared, and I thought the university was fine. And there's always going to be things you need to learn how to do better, but that's, even that team for 10, 12 years, they're going to be like, what can we do better? But I know there was a lot more things they did correctly here than when I started the program at Our Lady Lake. And so, nothing really. Our obstacles were experience, injuries, and playing against grad students. So, but that's fine. I mean, we're supposed to come in 10th.
Now, Coach, now that we didn't come in 10th and we're actually made it to the finals,
Yes.
do you feel like there's any added pressure in recruiting after this inaugural season?
No, because recruiting's gone easier so far, and we're getting more and more talented players interested, and it'll continue to grow because people continue to see us. Now, people know we have a team. They know what it looks like. That's huge. You know, people that maybe didn't know me or didn't know our school. I still get, well, I didn't know you had basketball yet. And we have people transferring because if they would have had this option when they graduated from high school in this area or region, they would have came here. And so now that they know we're here, they want to transfer because this is where they would have gone. And they see we're not dramatic, and they see we're going to win, and they see the support we get. So all of that factors in, but you can't tell people that when you've never done it. And so, no, the pressure, no one can put more pressure on myself than I do. Yeah, no one can put more pressure on me than I do myself. Because, like, I know people are celebrating, and they should, and our send-off was awesome. That was fantastic. And I'm looking forward to when we go to national tournament and that send-off. Because that's going to happen sooner than later. But that's the goal. That's why we're playing nationally ranked teams in the preseason. That's why we're traveling all over the country to play the best teams in the country. And I know it sounds crazy that I talk this way, but that's what we're going to do. I've seen it. I've done it. I know what it looks like. I know we're very, very close. And so the pressure I feel is I put it on myself, and I keep it away from the players. I always remind them, and people don't know this, I remind them how good they are. So.
Now, last thing, Coach, what is something that you would say to any potential Jaguars that may be thinking about coming to play for you or playing for the university, something you would want to send the message out there as they could possibly be watching this later?
Well, you know, if I'm talking to recruits, I tell them there's 3 things you can count on no matter what. We're going to win. It's going to be intense. There's no drama on our team. But the other key is, especially in today's climate, and I've coached at private universities, large, small, it's very important that your university is financially stable and that it's supported. And here at Texas A&M, San Antonio, that's an A&M degree, and it's a very affordable place to go. We do have athletic scholarships, but you're going to be in a facility that's nice. You're going to have fans in the stands. You're going to be around people that care about women's basketball, that want to win, in an A&M system school that's just taken off. Like I always tell recruits, you're not coming into a school that's kind of established into the ceiling. We're building new dorms, building a new track. We're going to build a student union. Our population's going up. We're probably going to Division II. So you're coming in on a place where it's only going to get better. And that's not everywhere, especially with the economic climate. And I've seen it where schools are cutting sports, cutting things. I mean, it's happening across town where I used to coach. And so here that's not happening. And so you're coming in on an upward trajectory, not only in our basketball team, but in the university. And when you leave here, you'll leave here with an A&M degree, which means a lot more than degrees from other places. So you're going to win. You're going to be surrounded by like-minded winning people. And you're going to leave here with an A&M degree and a lot of people in stands watching us play. And if you're not from here, because of Jaguar Sports Network, you can watch us from home. And you laugh, but that is a selling point. I'm telling you now, when I tell parents, I know you're from Montana, I know you're from Oregon, I know you're from California. You can watch every game for free on Jaguar Sports Network. That is a selling point in my recruitment. So, whatever you need,
Thank you,
I got
sir.
you.
Thank you, Coach. That brings smiles to all our hearts here at Jaguar Sports Network.
It's true.
It really
It's
means a lot
true.
to us. We're like we've mentioned before, we're a volunteer, student-based organization, so we do dedicate a lot of hours, and all worth it. Seeing the girls out there going to the finals this season.
Absolutely, absolutely. I got to say, you're giving us our credit, Coach, for helping you and doing all that. But I got to thank you as well. As I loved basketball growing up as a kid. It kind of fell off, the love I had for it. But being here, watching you and watching the girls and seeing y'all's passion come out on the court, it reminded me why I fell in love with the game. So
Appreciate
I
that.
thank you.
And that's them playing hard, and that's what we're going to do. And to be honest, what you're going to see in the next few years is we'll look back at this and go, yeah, man, they came in fourth, and now they're champions. So you haven't seen anything yet, to be honest. Not even close to what it'll be. It'll be nationally awesome very, very soon.
There you have it, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. The future is bright here at Texas A&M University San Antonio. We want to thank Coach Minner for sitting down with us, giving the opportunity, taking his time out of his day. Thank you, Coach. And for all things sports, this is Jaguar Sports Network. I've been Tony Talamantez, and I've been joined with
Nevenka Gomez.
Thank you all so much, and we'll see you all in the next one.